Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Business First Creatives podcast. Today, I'm chatting with my good friend Dama Jue, and we have this planned, okay, guys? Like, we don't have strict notes, but I have questions that we are going to hit, and I promise that this conversation is going to be amazing, and especially with my newfound love of email marketing. Dama, good morning, and welcome to the podcast.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me, friend.
Ah, let's just kick off with email marketing.
Okay.
Why is email marketing like the hill that you will die on, the one thing that you will never give up in your business?
She's my one true love. When I was a little kid, I used to write short stories and I secretly thought I would be a writer, but then, like, first gen daughter of immigrants, like, you must go and make money. You must have the opportunities that, like, we didn't have when we came to this country. So I went to school. I went to school for accounting and business and finance, and writing. We just don't do that. You just write the driest email possible. So I didn't have this, like, outlet in my corporate career. It wasn't until I started my business, and it wasn't until I started email marketing for my business where I was like, oh, this is cute. I like this. And then not only is it, like, satisfying to write, and I really literally just write like I sound, but then I started learning funnels and learning conversion copywriting, and I invested thousands of dollars in learning how to do conversion copywriting. And I was like, oh, this is how we buy my husband a new truck. This is how we buy me a new house. And, like, this is how I'm getting paid.
Mhm.
And so, yes, as a big fat data nerd, I can simply say the numbers are there. All my sales for them, a lot of my sales, the majority of my sales come from email marketing, but I have tested ads. I have tested social media. I track the numbers on all of that. And baby, it ain't it. It's all about email marketing. The
Yeah.
numbers don't lie.
Your return on investment is incredible,
Mhm.
which, guys, we are going to actually talk about some data because she is a data nerd. And of
Mhm.
course, I love data too. So anytime someone brings like the receipts, the numbers, I am all about it. But when someone, I would say most people, when they come on my podcast and they talk about email marketing, they've all got some rules that they like for everybody to do, right? They tell you, you must give somebody a freebie to get on your email
Mhm.
list. You must nurture them before you ask for the sale, and you should only ask for the sale so many times. So, Dama, I'm going to start with, what are the rules that you choose to ignore in your email marketing that everyone else says is a must do when you write emails?
I kind of ignore a lot of them. I first of all ignore that you have to send value only emails, like, periodically, or when somebody first gets on your list, serve the heck out of them. Value, value, value. Like, you're writing blog posts in these emails as if people are sitting there on the edge of their bed waiting to read your email. Like, I'm laying in bed scrolling my inbox at 7:58 a.m. Baby, chill with all the details of, like, how the step by step to how to do this, that, and the other. It's too much. I don't go to email to learn a ton. I know my user behavior. I like, if I'm going to watch a YouTube video, I'm going to buy a course, I'm going to watch a webinar, or I'm going to read a blog post. I don't go to email to learn a ton. And so I also have found that that makes your emails could possibly be too long. They're too scrollable, especially if you make them too bullety. So I don't do a ton of value emails. And when you say value emails, that means you're not selling. Like, there's no link to click. There's nothing. I'm out. If there's no link to click in an email, I just move on. I'm not reading all that. I don't even know what you want from me. So I'm not even gonna, like, if you don't know what you want from me and I can't tell from this email, it's actually one of my biggest email pet peeves. When I just get an all text email and there's no link, I'm like, ugh, I don't even want to read it. I don't even want to. I'll look. We're just not doing this. So I don't believe in sending value only emails. I sell in every single email. So that's another rule that I ignore. But I do send valuable emails, but they always have a CTA. Like, there is always a point. There's always, always, always a point. And I always do value up top, and then here's my pitch at the bottom. Because once you learn how to write funnels and how to write conversion copy, I can't unknow it. And I don't know how to just write like a blog type email where it's all value. So that number one goes out the window.
I mean, I'm totally with you. Even if I'm writing an email that gives you value, and I'm writing something that you could literally read and take immediate action on, it's almost always related to either one of my offers or one of my podcast episodes. And so,
Mhm.
regardless, I'm giving you a link. Go click here to listen to the rest of this episode. Go click here and read this blog post or buy this product or watch this freebie or whatever it is. Like, I am honestly not sure that I've ever sent an email that didn't at least have one link. But that does bring us to that second rule. You should only have one CTA in your emails, girl. Only one link or one CTA. How do we feel about that?
I don't care. Bye. I kicked that to the curb. When I first started writing emails, and I do think that if you're in a funnel, if you're specifically somebody signed up for this webinar and you're trying to help them make this decision to buy, okay, don't distract them with other things. So I don't. I do kind of in like my sage old, what is it, 6th year in business, mess around with this rule. But like in general, if it's inside of a funnel, I won't confuse people with like multiple links. It is just
Mm-hmm.
like if you're in a funnel, you're buy this or back out, all good. What you're one way or the other. But for regular my newsletters, my weekly emails, even a sales email that is not inside of a funnel, like I'm sending an email to let you know about Thrivecart sale. It's $100 off this weekend. Guess what? If you don't want that, that's cool. I got other links for you. I got links for days, like not a problem. So I don't believe in one email, one link, unless it's specifically inside of like an evergreen funnel. But like my weekly newsletters, you have options, honey. There'll be lots of options for things that can tickle your fancy because you can poll your audience, you know what they're interested in, but you don't always really know. These are thousands of intelligent people at a wide array of points in their business. They're beginners to experts. Sometimes you don't even know who's creeping on your email
Mm-hmm.
list, right? So there's people at all points. So if I'm talking to beginners this day, I make sure that there is something in the footer in my 4x4 footer that is not for beginners, or that is not for the people that I was talking to in the main audience, or that they might also be interested in, because you kind of never know what people are, where they're at on that given day. So I like to give them options.
I mean, I've never really thought about this, but in your emails, you really should be thinking of who your main audience is. And if it's not beginners, you should always have something in there for them so that if they read the email and they're like, oh no, that's way past me, like I'm not there yet. Yes, but like I have this other little thing that you should probably check out that's going to help you get prepared for this bigger thing and to, consume more of the topics that I'm talking about that are for more advanced business people. I mean,
And
that
it
is
keeps
great
you
advice.
relatable. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. It keeps you relatable because no matter what you do, you can be squawking on your website till you're blue in the face that I only work with 7-figure, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? The newbies are going to come anyway. They want to know what you're doing. They want to learn from you. They want to learn from the best from the best. And so you can pretend that you only screen out with your messaging a certain kind of business owner, but you don't. You absolutely don't. You'd be surprised when, yes, in my 6th year of business, occasionally I'll look at some beginner stuff to just for yucks. I just want to see
Mhm.
what's up. Like I want to see your teaching style. I might be looking at that. Like you teach beginners, but I'm looking at your teaching style. I'm evaluating what you do, or something caught my eye. So I'm hooked in anyway. You may as well be adaptable and make sure that there's some options for people at all points in the journey. And I think too,
Yeah.
if you only talk to advanced business owners, you're neglecting the people who are already on your list. And it also makes you kind of seem very like elitist and distant. And I only work with 7 and 8-figure business owners. Well, guess what? I made $42,000 in my business last year. I'm super proud of it. Maybe I'm a beginner, but I'm not exactly a beginner. And I want to get to this level. You know what I mean? You're alienating
Mhm.
those people. So I think it can very quickly get elitist when and not relatable. And then that means people not only are unsubscribing, but they also have a sour taste in their mouth about your brand, which is not
Yeah,
good. And that follows you around
it
for
does.
years.
Third and final rule that you
Mm-hmm.
feel like you should ignore with email marketing. Girl, tell me your opinion on welcome sequences and or nurture sequences, cuz I'm going to admit, I've spent a lot of time and energy writing my welcome sequence, but you've got me rethinking this position. So, how do you break this rule?
God bless them. I mean, good for you for having a welcome sequence. Sometimes I think I should, but I just don't. I don't care. You buy a thing. I would rather welcome buyers into my world. So I don't put a lot of emphasis on freebies, on that style of lead gen where it's like, I have an irresistible freebie. It's super valuable, blah, blah, blah. I did that with my previous business and that was great, but it ended up with me having a lot of like a list of freebie seekers and
Seekers.
not people who were really ready to dive in. I have cultivated a list of buyers. And I love that. I love that for us. I love that for them because they're taking action. They're getting what they need to do and they're standing on the shoulders of those who have already figured the thing out. So I personally would prioritize a list of buyers. Now, that means that your first entry point into my world is you're getting a post-purchase email. So you're getting your little receipt from Thrivecart, you're getting your little login for Thrivecart Learn, and then you're getting an email from me. And then it's not a sequence. I only have a welcome sequence for my $9 Google Docs training on brand fillable workbooks. And only because that freaking thing is like jet fuel. It has like 5,000 students in it. I don't even know where they're finding it at this point. Like I make sales of it every single day. So I have a 3 email welcome sequence on that post purchase, but I don't have any welcome sequences built on like, hey, you're new to my list. Let's nurture before I sell to you. No, you're here because you already bought. And so I have circumvented this by having a little bit of like color and me and who I am in the email. So I hit them with what they want to know. Post purchase, you're here because you bought. The product name is in the subject line. The product mock-up is in the top of the image, and the product, like, it's very clear what you got. I hate generic post-purchase emails. And then I tell them, like, here's the thing, here's everything you need to know about access, and oh hi, if this is the first time we're meeting. And I do one paragraph in a different color font that is like a little about me, and then buy. Then they go into their purchase. Like, here's a big fat button to log in and access your purchase. In the first lesson of every course, I have a little about me section. So it doesn't distract. It's not about me. It's about them and the reason they bought this. So sure, it'd be great if they wanted to learn a little bit more about me, but if they stay on my email list for 3 weeks at minimum, they're going to get an idea of my slang, my culture, my business values, the things I stand for, all that stuff. So I would rather let my weekly emails be topical and relevant AF, like this is super timely, then, oh, I'm not going to email this whole chunk of my list because they're in a welcome sequence that I wrote 17 months ago. And it's like, do I even remember what it says? I don't know what it says. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't have a welcome sequence. People can get on my list by a straight up form on my blog, on my Thrivecart template shop blog. That is like, it's not even like a freebie. It's just like, do you want to stay in the loop? Like, I don't even know what it says. It's just like, do you like it? Okay, get over here, like get on my list, whatever. Like it's a hello bar. And I also have that on the like bottom third of every page on my Dama Jue website. Like, do you want to be the first to know what's new in marketing tech and blah, 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 blah. There's no freebie. And I'm fine with it. And it also doesn't put them in a sequence. And literally, as soon as they sign in, it's like, you're not in a welcome sequence. Anyway, here's a little bit about me. Here's some stuff. Here's some links. And see you in the next email. Like I'm just like, I used to have a welcome sequence. It's great. I respect that you have that. I would love to know stats on your sale. I know I'm not interviewing you, but like, I want to know the people who went to the trouble of creating their welcome sequence. Is it bringing in sales or is it just bringing in replies?
So recently I did a little, okay, so I originally had what would be considered, I guess, a fulfillment sequence for every single thing that I sold. So when you, or I guess when you got a freebie, it would deliver the thing and then it would tell you more about the thing and about me. And then it would tell you, hey, have you done this thing yet? If you have, this is probably the next thing that you should look at. And then it dumped them into my newsletter. But as I expanded my freebies, I ended up making that delivery sequence only 1 or 2 emails, depending on which freebie or which product it was or whatever. And then they get dumped into the welcome sequence because what I was figuring out was that no matter what freebie they got, everybody was pretty much interested in writing better emails and or improving their workflows. And so that is what my welcome sequence does. And when I say it's a welcome series, it is. But again, like I think I'm selling you in email number 2. Like I'm mentioning the things that I have inside of my template shop right off the bat. So I think it's become less about welcoming them as much as making sure that we all have the same base knowledge before you get dumped into my newsletter. But that is
like
probably
getting on the same page.
Yes, but that is probably going to get slightly tweaked now that I have an Evergreen sequence, which I finally made live. I think you and I talked about this a few months ago, but I finally made it live. And so I do now know what everybody is getting in like those first few emails. And so I think the welcome series is actually on its way out, because it's being replaced by the Evergreen sequence. But again, I'm like you, even in the first two emails of the Evergreen sequence, I'm selling you on something. Like there are
Oh yeah.
links to something, a training, a template, my
Even on
course.
post-purchase emails, there are CTAs. I want you to join my affiliate program and I want you to look at my 4x4.
Hmm.
Like
Yes.
there just is, and it's all conditional. So if they're already in my affiliate program, then they won't see that. But like you did ask me earlier about welcome sequences and nurture sequences, and I think they're different. And I do have a what some people call like a forever funnel or an
Hmm.
evergreen nurture sequence. And I love her. So because all my emails, we talked about this earlier, like all my emails are essentially sales emails. They have value up top, party up top, right? And then the business on the bottom. So the sales, there's always a sales pitch at the bottom, or at least SCTA to join, buy, sign up, whatever. What's amazing about that is that they are then recyclable. I'm not
Hmm.
throwing these babies in the garbage, and only the people on my list at that given moment are going to see it, and then it's gone. I don't necessarily believe in like repurposing an email into a social media and a reel and a tweet. I've tested that and have conclusive data that it does not work for me. What works for me in email does not translate to a reel, does not translate to a caption, does not translate to a post, no matter how much I tried. So I'm done with that. I really feel like very released from social media because she just does not make me sales. You know, I track and there is no money in this for me. Maybe it works for other people. It's just not for my audience. But my emails, that's gold. So what I set up last year is a evergreen nurture sequence. So every couple of months, I will take emails that I've sent in the past, strip any like dates or anything like
Hmm.
that, sort of make them evergreen, and then I have a conditional content CTA at the bottom. So if the person already has the offer that I'm pitching, then I tell them to log in. If they don't, I tell them, here's where you grab it. I have a few other elements for it. So right now that sequence is 9 months long and growing because I just keep writing emails during the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, and then my nurture sequence goes out on Saturday. So what I might have sent on a random Tuesday in February is now going to hit an inbox on the third Saturday in August. And whether or not the person was on my list in February and still is, or they won't, even if they are, they're not going to remember. It's going to look slightly different. And so I'm recycling my number one revenue generating asset. Like I refuse to throw her away. She's
Hmm.
beautiful. So I just recycle them right into my nurture sequence. Currently, it's 9 months long. There's plenty more to be added there. And yeah, sometimes it's just like a little random sales email and we just pop it into there and it because all my stuff is available evergreen. Once I sell it and I do a launch, like I don't kind of like low key don't want to look at it anymore. Like it's still so
It's
good,
there. It's
but
there for
like
you.
I can't. Yeah, it's like the person from the bar last night. Like I can't anymore. You know. So like I once I've done a big fat launch and talked about it ad nauseum, I never want to talk about it again. So I essentially will take that email from a launch I did in February, put one email in like month 3, another email in month 6, and another email in month 9. So like periodically I'm making sales of all of my offers. I have a few other features in it, like a template of the month, and I include my 4x4 footer on it. So they don't necessarily even know that I wrote this email like a million months ago.
Okay, we are going to get into the 4x4 next, but since you
Okay.
just gave me all of that juicy information, I want to ask you two questions. Number one, how are you organizing your newsletter? Like, where do you have it laid out so that you know what offers you are doing in each email and that kind of thing? Well, actually, you answer that, and then I'm going to ask you my second question because you might answer it by default, anyways.
I think you know the answer, but your
I
audience might
do.
not know the So everything lives in Airtable. Everything lives in Airtable. I have a system where I am a weirdo. A lot of people teach like you should write your emails in a Google Doc and
No.
then put them into ConvertKit or Drip. I don't. I find that I lose the magic somewhere in translation. I like to take I take it's a little risky because you could lose the email like as a draft, but Drip, I use Drip as my email marketing and it saves those drafts for me. So even if my power goes out or we're approaching for landing and I need to like close my laptop, it's saved anyway, so I'm not worried about it. So I write my emails straight in Drip and I'm never going to think to go back in and like pull them out. So I have a Zap setup where it's like when an email comes in from Dama at damajue.com to a specific inbox, I will take the body of that email and put it into Airtable. And now it's tagged as a potential, like, is this evergreenable? And I'll either then go in and every couple of
Say
months
yes
we'll
or no.
review it. Like, should we use this in the sequence or not? Or like, this was really specifically for a summit, but is there anything good at the top of this that I could then, like, okay, this is for the membership momentum summit, and I'm waxing poetic about this, that, and the other, my little thoughts about memberships. Well, I have a membership training, how to have a membership inside Thrivecart.
Mm-hmm.
I have a membership template for Thrivecart. We could reuse this. You know what I mean? But like some summits, it's like, no, I really can't. I really can't reuse this. Like, okay, fine. So anyway, I have an automated system where it will pull the email straight into Airtable, and it's marked as a call me maybe. And then later, every couple of months, I'll look at and think, like, is this worth reusing? Did it have good results? Did I make good sales from it? Blah, blah, blah. And then if so, we'll strip any dates and things like that and evergreen it up, spend 20 minutes cleaning it up and slapping a dynamic CTA on it. If you're interested in memberships, then grab Thriving Memberships, my training. And, here's my blah, blah, blah training. And I could even do a little template discount in there. So, I'm always looking for different ways to repurpose my best work, which is my emails. And it all goes into Airtable. It's all tracked in Airtable. And I also like use linked records for what CTAs, what links, the
Yes.
conditional content, all of it. The
Yes.
liquid code for all that. Yeah, it's all in there.
You and I are both obsessed with Airtable. I actually, listening audience, I did know she was going to say Airtable. I'm obsessed. But
did you imagine if I had said like
you had
Google
said something
Doc?
Else, my face would have been like, that is not where I was expecting to go with that. What I will say though is that I find it absolutely fascinating that you are just writing them in Drip and then you are zapping them into Airtable, because what I finally started doing was writing my emails in Airtable. Like, I have been trying legitimately for almost 18 months to start writing emails in Airtable. I did the interface like Ashley Pendergraph told me to, and Angela Tan also teaches it. I finally started and I was like, I would go in and it just didn't feel natural. So then I was writing my emails in ConvertKit. But in ConvertKit, you can't search for anything, which just drove me insane. So I'm actually writing everything in Airtable now. Then I'm putting it into ConvertKit. So it's already inside, but I didn't know that I could zap it. I may try that just to see if I like it better. I mean,
my problem with writing it in an interface, and just like you, I love Angela and I love Ashley. These are people whose brains are magical and they're amazing humans, and I like learning from them. But I don't like writing my emails in interfaces, and it's because Airtable in general uses Markdown.
mm-hmm.
And so now, like, if something is bolded, it's going to have 2 asterisks in front of it and behind it. And I cannot, like, the level of ick, I cannot, no. So I don't like the way it translates from Airtable to Drip. And there's something like, I design templates. I used to design funnels. Like, I like the visual element of my emails. I like to screw around with the colors and the fonts, and like, I don't believe in like, wow, my email should be like Flowdesk and they're like a fashion magazine for an email. But I do like to have, I know the trash I like to talk about Flowdesk.
It's okay.
Sorry. It's just not for me as an automation girly. But anyway, yeah, so I just like writing them in Drip because I tried writing them in Docs, hated it.
No,
tried writing them in Airtable, really didn't like it because of Markdown, but also I want to see what it's going to look like. So and then I do a lot of, I think if, you know me, I am all about the automation, the marketing tricks, like using the tech to the max. There's so much power inside Drip of like trigger links and expiring links and conditional content and liquid code and global content snippets. Like, I want to do that in the full, like in all its glory inside Drip. So I would rather write it where it's going to live and I feel good about it. Like, I cannot pre-write my emails. If I email you on a Wednesday, like low key, I woke up that morning, chose violence, and
unless it's the evergreen email. Unless it's an evergreen email, but yeah.
Well, and even then, I'm saving that like fire I felt in the moment. Maybe I wrote that in December 2023, but like I was lit up that December 23 morning, and like that fire I recorded it in the moment. And so I think that maybe is possibly why people like my emails so much, because it's just very like a la minute. It's not premeditated, so to speak, or stale or formulaic. I don't do formulas. So anyway, yeah. Anyway, long story short, I like to write them directly in Drip. I love that they save my work as I go. So if I get distracted or if I lose power, it's still
Mhm.
there. But I'd rather write it in Drip and then hit send and like know the joy of like this email's about to go out and
Mhm.
know that the automations will scoop it up. The automations have my back on the back end. I'd rather do it that way personally.
Yeah.
But
I
I'm like you.
mean,
I tried the interface.
if your automation failed, you can always just go and copy it and stick it in Airtable. It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's working for me, and I do have it. It goes into Airtable. I can see it in the interface. I
Mhm.
like that. I just have to do it the way. Yeah.
Yeah, the way that it makes sense for your brain. Dama, I
Yeah.
am here for it. I was just very surprised because I have legitimately never thought about zapping the email into Airtable. See, you taught me something new today. Yay! The second thing that I was going to ask you, and I think you kind of answered it, but I want to pinpoint your actual response. How
hmm
often, because you said you kind of gave us an idea of how often you're adding stuff, but how are you making sure that like the emails that are in your sequence are still good enough to stay in your sequence? Like, I get when you're putting new things in, but what is your process for kind of taking things out? Or have you ever taken anything out of your evergreen sequence?
I've It's sort of a delight for me. Every Saturday, it sends an email unless I'm specifically in a launch and I've paused it. I don't know what people are getting all the time because I don't know. It depends on when they joined the
Hmm.
sequence. It depends on when they join my list. So sometimes I get replies like almost every Saturday. Yeah, since I started this, I get a reply every Saturday. I usually get some sale notifications because yes, honey, it is working for me. And so I'm always just sort of like, what are you guys buying? Like, what are you guys reading? Like, what do you, I am on so I have like a 5 or 6 different emails that I'm signed up for my own email list because, I use them for test purchases or whatever. And so all of them are at like different points in the
Hmm.
email and in the sequence. And so I'm very curious, like some of them are getting, oh, some of them are getting this one and some of them are getting this one. So I sort of have a finger on what everybody else is getting. But so far, a lot of them have been getting like pretty much every single one has gotten replies. Most of them have gotten sales. At least some of them have gotten like really high click rates. So I'll go through and look at it, but I just launched this
Okay.
in, I want to say February. So it's only
So it
been a
hasn't
couple
been long
months.
enough. Okay.
It might have been sooner than February. I don't remember when I did it, but most people are barely in month 2 or 3 and
Okay.
there's 9 months. So
They got a
when
ways to go, girl.
yeah, I sent something. One of the emails I sent was like about Evergreen, like what urgency and scarcity. And I use and love and stand Deadline Funnel. But I had mentioned Countdown Hero in that email because I wrote it 7 months ago
Yes.
and I no longer recommend Countdown Hero. So somebody replied and said, hey, I you still have Countdown Hero. And I was like, look, let me go fix that.
Thank
Like
you. I'll go
that's a
edit that
Saturday
email.
task that I'm not even going to wait till later to do. I'm going to go do it right this second because people are getting it on time zone too.
Hmm.
So like, let me fix it now while I'm thinking of it. And then maybe the
Won't
people
get
in
it.
Pacific won't even see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we've mentioned 4x4 a few times.
hmm
And
Yes.
4x4, I think, is to me your most brilliant thing that you've come up with. So tell us what a 4x4 is and how you came up with that concept, which is, of
Sure.
course, related to links and clicks and sales and everything that you've been talking about already.
Yeah, it's like it's my masterpiece, isn't it? So 4x4 footers is an email strategy where you write your regular email, whatever you're going to say, what you're going to say what drives you at that moment, but below the sign off and like, your sign off and all that, below your PS, I throw in a section that I call my 4x4 footer. And essentially, I wanted to add more opportunities for myself to make more affiliate income, to shout out things that I wish that I was thinking about buying, that I was summits I'm in.
Mhm.
Sometimes I don't want to send a dedicated email about this one thing, or I already sent a dedicated email and I needed to send an email about something else, but I still wanted to mention it. So, flashback to 2020, I was on Ashlyn Carter's email list. She has like a YouTube channel.
Mhm.
She's a copywriter. Her emails are good, but they never grabbed me. And I noticed that the thing I liked most about her emails, and this sounds terrible to say because she's a great writer, but I wasn't a copywriter at that point. So it was like way over my head, which goes back to our point earlier, Colie. Like I was a beginner baby and I was on this, like, I'm a 7-figure copywriter woman's list. And a lot of her concepts were just going way the heck over my head. But I would scroll to the bottom of her emails and she had this like what I'm watching on,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm binging on Netflix, what book I'm reading, and beauty product I'm loving. And the like rabid way that I would scroll to the bottom of lists, I thought that was really interesting. But she never had clickable links, and I don't care about beauty products. So like, yeah, it was interesting. I want to know what you're binging, that's cool. And then I started thinking about different ways. Like I kind of shelved that. And then in 2021, I read someone else's email and they were like, you should have a super footer where it's like, here's 3 ways you can work with me today. And that's the popular thing. But I don't read that. No one reads that. Now, if they're intrigued by you, they might creep. And if
Mm-hmm.
it's like, hey, come connect with me on Instagram, but usually it's like, book a sales call, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I just don't care. If it's important to you that I do that thing, then write me a dedicated email about it. I don't know. I just didn't love the strategy, but I saw it and I thought, what if I could write something that is business focused? So it's not about beauty products, that is showing people what I'm doing and how they can work with me, but without saying ways to work with me, because I just don't want to click that. That's not interesting. And also, I know for a fact, based on my own user behavior and conversations I have, you will not believe how many times I get asked the question, what's your tech stack? What do you use for this? What do you use for subtitling? What do you use for this? People want to know what's going on in the BTS of my business. And I have found literal hundreds of thousands in sharing the BTS of my business. So I have a mini training that is like, it's literally a behind the scenes of like one of my oldest funnels inside Thrivecart. And
Mm-hmm.
people are funnel hacking me anyway. So you know what? Let's do a BTS. It's like a mini 20 minutes training. It's like, here's the sales page, here's the bump, here's the integrations, blah, 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 blah. And so I show people that, and then they're inspired and go on and buy from me. They get Thrivecart with my link, and then they buy this and they buy that. And like, it's such a good entry point into my world that the money is in the BTS. People are really curious about the BTS. So anyway, long story short, kind of taking all these elements, I created this concept of a footer that I would update every single week. And I put 4 categories, and I started doing this when I was in MailerLite. And it was just simple black and white text, like what tech I'm testing, because as a funnel builder, everybody wanted to know about my
Everybody
tech
wants to know.
anyway, what sale or event I'm watching or joining, exciting business ideas. And, so basically kind of like what's going on in my business. And there's a link for all of them. Sometimes there's no link, but for the most part, it really served a lot of purposes. More sales of my own products, more affiliate income and referrals to like summits I was speaking in, more sales of the SaaS that I use and love. And then the exciting business ideas, I almost never have a link in that section. It's always building anticipation for the next thing coming. So if I'm working on, like I'm going to do a launch for a particular product, I'll start teasing it there, because I know that people, the 4x4 footer, because I have the data, is the most engaged part of my email list. They might skim the whole email, but they are looking and clicking at my 4x4. So
Yes.
I added a few other elements to it to make it like to have it work really, really well. But because I started with it casually with just, here's the tech I'm testing, and that I started doing this in 2021 or 2022, and it's now 2024, and it has still been a massive revenue driver in my business. I have numbers. Do you want
Yes,
numbers?
let's talk about those
Okay.
numbers.
So in January of 2024, I created a strategy training all about this. I started to notice that I had my 4x4 for a year and a half, and I started to see people kind of low key hacking the idea or copying the idea
Mm-hmm.
and doing it their own way. And then I had somebody whose email list I was on who copied and pasted it verbatim, like my categories, my fonts, my colors. And to say I was triggered was like, you didn't even I was so offended. And when I spoke to them, they were like, I thought you'd be flattered. No, honey. No, I'm not flattered by copying. So I was like, I really need to teach this strategy, because if people are implementing it, but they're missing key elements, they don't they didn't do this. And
They
that
don't
is,
understand the strategy. Yes.
yeah, it's like you threw out the parsley, but actually the parsley did this. And like, you didn't include this. Like, you didn't deglaze the pan with the red wine. Like you don't, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you're missing the strategy. So I was like, I need to teach it. So anyway, I taught it in January 2024, and I included templates and all that. So I collected some numbers then, and I started tracking the data of how many sales were directly attributed to clicks from my 4x4 somewhere in like about 3 months into 2023. So this is about 9 months of data of 2023 alone. And it brought in an extra $10,066 of my own products that I was casually linking or mentioning in the 4x4. Now, those things were getting sales emails. So they might have read those emails, but not clicked until they hit the 4x4, or they might have scrolled right past the emails and just said, that looks like a lot of text, and went straight to the 4x4. I know from talking to people on my email list that when they're in a hurry, they just scroll right past and just read the 4x4.
That's
Yeah,
me.
Colie.
I do
Yeah,
that.
Colie.
I'm
People
raising
do
my
that.
hand.
People do that, and I'm fine with it. That's why I am A-okay with it, because if you wanted to read my email, here it is for you. It's right here. But if you didn't have time, or if it's not your thing, that, or the body of the email is about something you don't care about or isn't relevant to you, no problem. I got you in the 4x4.
Yeah. And then we had a discussion, and I just want to preface this, guys. Tracking affiliate money is hard when you're doing it for somebody else's product. But so I was curious, because I mean, I think all of us would love an extra 10 grand that we could attribute to this one thing that we're adding to the bottom of every single email without a single thought. But I did ask you because you do affiliate work for a lot of really big SaaS companies. So how much money do you think you made off of affiliate sales from your 4x4 versus how much money you've made off your own products? Because I think that we should have Dama back to talk about affiliate marketing at some point, because this is amazing.
I love affiliate marketing. And I can say, when I was a brand new VA in like 2019, I hired my first like VA coach. And I told her, like, I really, like, we talked about my big business goals, which were a charming, I want to make $3,000 a month back then. I was like, this feels very stretchy. And like, bless my heart, I was like, very, like, it felt like, oh, this is such a big ask, but I really want to make $3,000 a month. So anyway, and I told her I really want to get into affiliate marketing. And she said, oh, that's for like influencers. That's, you really need a big audience. And I said, okay, like, okay, I'm going to do it anyway. Like, that's just,
That's just you.
that, okay, tell me I can't do something and then watch me go ahead and pursue it anyway. But anyway, yeah, so I knew that I wanted to be intentional with my affiliate marketing goals, because it just felt like this is something I think is like a really big opportunity for me. So anyway, I started with affiliate marketing in 2020, and I think I made like $200 my first year. The next year was like 1,200. The next year was 12,000. In 2023, I made well over six figures in affiliate income, well over. So that was like a very like, like almost like a, I can't even believe this is real moment when I looked at my stats December 31st of 2023 and was like, dang, dude, I did that. That happened. And I think that the way that I weave affiliate marketing into every aspect of my business is, I think, and in a way that is serving, I think is a big part of that. And I also think that my 4x4 footer is a big part of it. Now, I looked in January when I did this training how much I could verifiably track to affiliate income to my 4x4 footer, and it was like just under $600. But
Yeah,
I can
not
tell
much.
you, and I can tell you for a fact that that is an inaccurate number. My sales numbers for my own products, yes, I feel good about that. But for affiliate income, that is way low. That's like 2 Thrivecart commissions. But the reason why is because I chose convenience, or let's just call it what it is, laziness, over tracking, by just sharing pretty links. So every time I sign up to someone's affiliate program and I grab my affiliate link, I immediately create a pretty link. So it's like damajue.com/drip. So I never have to be like, oh, let me go to my computer and get you my drip
And
affiliate
copy
link.
that link.
Yeah, I'm not going to do
existence.
that. And it's like a bunch of numbers and letters. No, I create a pretty link. I create a short link, as it were. So I never, ever, ever forget what my most popular, referrals are. And I have them handy just at the back of my mind. So when you do that, you would have to create a specific pretty link with the UTM parameters or the reference tracking parameters and whatever. And I just don't do that. It's just, I choose laziness or convenience over killing myself to get the details. And the other thing that makes really hard is most affiliate programs don't allow source tracking. In fact, pretty much all of them don't allow you to if you put UTMs on it, it's like that's cute and it chops them off. Yeah, I mean it's a wasted exercise. Most of them don't allow you to create a reference. Like some WordPress based ones do. Thrivecart definitely does, but most don't. So it's pretty hard to track your affiliate income from the source anyway. It's pretty impossible.
Yeah.
I just pulled up while I was blabbing, while I was like talking about my VA and my affiliate income goals. So my 4x4 for 2024 so far, so about 5 months, 6 months into the year, has brought in 4,300 already. So I'm on track for it to be another 10K year of just my 4x4, helping me make more sales from helping me make more sales without me actually trying or without me actually doing any more than like 12 seconds worth of work.
Every week you're changing it up, and that's your 12 seconds of work. Dama, everybody listening, I have the 4x4 training. It is amazing. If you look at my emails, you will notice I actually don't do 4x4. I do 3, but it's the exact same concept. If you would like to learn from Dama about how to create your very own 4x4, I am going to have that linked inside of the show notes. Dama, is there any last words that you want to say about email marketing before we wrap this up?
It's never too late to start your email list, but start your list. And can I just tell you, like, let me just break it down really quick. Start your list. Yes, you can start with a freebie, but you don't have to. You don't have to have a freebie. If the freebie is paralyzing you or stressing you out, then you don't have to. Do a mini training and it literally just be like, I'm going to send you a loom, like a link to a loom that you record once. Do something simple, but get people on your list, give them ample opportunities. So forums, pop-ups, slide-ins, whatever, but make sure it's not hard to get on your email list. Like I shouldn't have to think or work hard to get on your list. Form on every page of your website. And then once they're on there, all you have to do is commit to writing 2 emails a month. Write an email every other week and then work your way up to writing an email a week. And I like to scroll like threads and see what people are talking about. What are people triggering? And instead of me becoming a comment or thread warrior and like getting all passionate in the threads, why would I do that? Yeah, I'm going to go and like, you know what? I posted a thread the other day because I was beating myself up because I was like I wasn't doing any revenue generating activity. And I was like, ugh, I need to get to work. I like make some money. So I went to threads and was like, online business friends, like what was the revenue and what was the last revenue generating activity that you did today? And it just reminded me like I need to go because a revenue generating activity could look like a lot of different things. It can look like a thread. It can look like a post. I like recorded a YouTube. I did this, I did that. And so it just I was like, okay, I'm going to go off and now write an email. And before I sit here and like write all my gold in 100 and whatever characters on threads, like I'd rather just go write an email. You know, what are our thoughts on memberships? I'm not going to just go crazy on Facebook and post about it. I'm going to go and write an email. So you're going to use it where you
make money. I got you, Dama.
You can use that spicy take instead of responding because people are like, what's your spicy take? Or what if you could write a podcast or you could speak on a podcast today with no preparation, or if you could give a present, those posts that it's like, we've all seen them. Don't reply to that. Get your butt to your MailerLite or to your ConvertKit or to your Drip, hit compose and start writing. Yes. Just do that. Just do that. Let other people even inspire you with what to write, but don't waste it on a platform that is not your own. Write it to your email list.
Yeah, so that you can go and repurpose it in a future email inside of your Evergreen sequence.
Yes. I just pulled up the stats, by the way, on my Evergreen sequence because I do really detailed tracking. $2,600 so far, and I just started it 2.5 months ago.
Yes. Guys, I really hope this was a different kind of email marketing conversation. I really hope that by listening to this conversation with Dama, that you are inspired to do more in your email in order to do the sale. And of course, we started this conversation talking about the 3 rules that Dama breaks inside of her email marketing. And I concur. And I think I might try to break a few more of those rules myself going forward. Dama, thank you
It's
so much for joining me on the podcast today.
it's your list, it's your rules. And yes,
Yes.
thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
All right, everyone. That's it for this episode. See you next time.